Welcome to a new episode of the 90s Metal Gamer, where we stay hydrated and play video games. For this video, I'm going to give a casual review of Sonic Mania. If you know me, you know I love my Sonic. Sonic is what got me into gaming. Since this is a casual review, I must iterate that this is not a 100% completion review. I did not complete this game to 100% completion. The main focus was the story and cheating. I cheated on this game. I didn't know this until I started recording my gameplay for this video, but there are cheat codes. Cheat codes are a thing of the past now. They are almost non-existent these days. Alright, let's cue the channel intro.
And then the Lord said,
I want to see your tiny head.
Before I get into this review video, I want to talk a little bit about the history of Sonic Mania and how it came to be. It initially started out as a passion project by Christian Whitehead. Christian Whitehead is an independent game developer who lives in Melbourne, Australia, best known for working with Sega and Headcanon to produce remakes and enhanced ports of Mega Drive Sonic the Hedgehog games since 2011. Considering his success with Headcanon and Pagoda West games, this eventually led to the development of Sonic Mania, which was released in 2017. Christian Whitehead is a well-known user on the Sonic fan site called Sonic Retro. On this website, he released several fan games, the most well-known being Retro Sonic. During a 2016 San Diego Comic-Con, Christian Whitehead, alongside Headcanon and Pagoda West games, announced the development of a new Sonic game, which is called Sonic Mania, and it released 15 August 2017. Now, I love Sonic just as much as the next fan, but I am not smart enough to know how to develop games myself. It was developed using OpenGL and C++. Now, I have scratched the surface of this knowledge. I'm still not that smart at it. Alright, that's enough about the history of Sonic Mania. Throughout this review, I'm going to go over the story, the gameplay, the presentation, and the music. And then I'll wrap it all up with a water score. Let's get started. It wouldn't be a proper Sonic game if it didn't include something about the 7 Chaos Emeralds, and Sonic Mania is no different. And since I suck at storytelling, I'm going to let the game tell the story for me. Here, enjoy. This short cutscene doesn't really explain what's going on in this game, so I'm going to explain it just a little bit more. This game takes place sometime after the end of Sonic 3 and Knuckles. Tails picks up an unusually strange energy reading, so being Tails, he and Sonic decide to go investigate it, and it takes them back to Angel Island. Upon their arrival, they run into some Robotnik cronies, and they unearth the source of that energy reading that they were picking up. This energy reading is coming from something called the Phantom Ruby. Given that it is not a Chaos Emerald, it is still emitting an enormous amount of energy. This Phantom Ruby has the ability to warp space and time, thus throwing them back to the OG Sonic stages, which is where we are now. Like I mentioned previously, it would not be a proper Sonic game unless the 7 Chaos Emeralds were somehow involved. And this game is no different. The 7 Chaos Emeralds are hidden in these giant rings that you'll find across all the stages. Not unlike Sonic 3 or Sonic & Knuckles. You will still be collecting the blue spheres and rings, but they serve a different purpose. The blue spheres will help speed you up, and the rings prevent the counter from getting to 0. Once the counter gets to 0, well, you lose the special stage, and you do not get the Chaos Emerald. I did not get all 7 Chaos Emeralds throughout my gameplay, but what I did was use cheat codes after I finished my initial playthrough, so that way I can see the true ending. And to be quite honest, the difference is very minuscule. In my opinion, you can skip it. Since that Phantom Ruby has the power to manipulate time and space, you are tossed back in time into what I can only describe as reimagined levels of the OG Sonic games, plus some brand spanking new ones, which I thought was pretty cool. It's like a brand new spin on something that is tried and true. There are a total of 13 stages, if you collect all 7 Chaos Emeralds. Without the 7 Chaos Emeralds, you will go through 12 stages, each one having 2 acts. The game follows a very linear path, not unlike Sonic 1, Sonic 2, so forth and so on. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Overall, the story is very similar to that of previous Sonic games. Not necessarily a bad thing. The gameplay segment of this video is going to be fairly short. If you've played Sonic 1, Sonic 2, Sonic 3, Sonic 3 and Knuckles, then you've played Sonic Mania in terms of how it controls. The Blue Sphere special stages return in Sonic Mania, but they don't play as much of an importance on the story of the game. In fact, it has nothing to do with the story of the game. When you complete a special stage, you get a medallion. Throughout my gameplay, I believe I was only able to collect 1 medallion. I have never been any good at these Blue Sphere stages. And the reason why I was able to collect the 7 Chaos Emeralds in Sonic 3 and Knuckles was because I cheated. I have no shame in admitting that. What I like best about the gameplay of Sonic Mania is that everything runs at a crispy yet smooth 60 frames per second. It is absolutely beautiful. I should probably add that I'm playing the PS4 version on my PS5. Not that it makes a difference or anything, just thought I'd put that out there. What I disliked about the gameplay is that it got repetitive really fast, and there were times during the game where I was rather bored because I was doing the same thing over and over again. And I suppose that is expected of a 2D side-scroller, but my expectations were set high for this game. I definitely had my nostalgia glasses on in the initial start of the gameplay, but as time went on, that quickly faded away. This just proves that I've gotten accustomed to more complex controls of modern day gaming. Games such as Metal Gear Solid 5, Tears of the Kingdom, Breath of the Wild, so forth and so on. Once again, since this is a 2D side-scroller, I should not have expected that much. But the game controls exactly how it was meant to be played. In short, the gameplay was very familiar to that of previous Sonic games. If you're familiar with the controls of Sonic 1, 2, 3, and Sonic 3 and Knuckles, then you will feel right at home with this. As I mentioned in the gameplay segment of this video, the nostalgia glasses were on when I first started playing this game. And then as time went on, the nostalgia glasses eventually came off. Slowly but surely, they came off, and I realized what I was looking at. I was looking at a 2D side-scroller. Now don't get me wrong, this is absolutely beautiful at face value, but this just confirms that I have gotten accustomed to modern day gaming. And what I mean by that is that I would much rather see 3D models rendered in this game as opposed to a 2D side scroller. And of course, that all depends on what game I'm playing. For example, Metroid Dread. That is a side scroller game, but of course it was 3D. Sonic Mania is at a severe disadvantage because of the other games that I have played, such as Sonic Frontiers, Sonic Colors Ultimate, so forth and so on. I have played better looking games than this. And the purpose of Sonic Mania was to celebrate 25 years of Sonic, which I totally understand. I'm all for it and I absolutely love it. But it doesn't hit me as hard as Sonic Frontiers did, graphically speaking, of course. And I can probably guess what many of the viewers of this video are going to say. I should not be comparing it to any other game. I should be taking this at face value. And you're absolutely right. But my problem that I'm having is that I have a hard time not comparing it to other Sonic games. As a 2D side scroller, this is absolutely beautiful. And I cannot stress that enough. Biases set aside, this is beautiful. You got your bright, vibrant colors, and you got your darks as well, and all of it blends together perfectly. In short, Sonic Mania really pulled hard on those nostalgia strings of mine. But after some time had passed, the nostalgia quickly faded. Nonetheless, it is still really damn good looking. You're in for a real treat when it comes to the music. This soundtrack will take you right back to the 90s, right at home, and it goes perfectly with Sonic Mania. It would seem that the soundtracks from all the previous Sonic games have been remastered and then put into the game, and I think that's absolutely amazing. Although you heard it for a very brief moment, even the Blue Sphere special stage got a nice remaster. Overall, 10 out of 10. The music is beautiful. Sonic is what got me into gaming in the 90s. My very first console that I had was the Sega Genesis, and it came bundled with Sonic the Hedgehog 2. Considering this, Sonic will always hold a special place in my heart, regardless of where Sega decides to take the franchise. Yes, even Sonic 06. Speaking of Sonic 06, I will be doing a review video over that game. And I can already tell you it is going to get a bad water score. But nonetheless, it makes for some good content on YouTube. I had a huge rush of nostalgia when I first started playing this game. But that nostalgia quickly faded once I realized what I was looking at. It was just another 2D side scroller. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. I still had loads of fun, but this just proves that I've gotten accustomed to modern day gaming. Now, I'm not trying to take anything away from Sonic Mania because it was still a very good game for what it's worth. I just did not have as much fun as I thought I would. Now with that said, I will give this game a water score of 4 out of 5 bottles of water. I appreciate every single one of you watching my videos, and I really do mean that. If you're new here, please consider subscribing to the channel. I love y'all, stay hydrated, and stay tuned for my next video.